Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Wednesday, February 4th. Ian Cameron with you. Perlo will be here in just a moment, and we're here to break down the Wednesday NHL card. Just 2 days left in NHL action before the Olympic break. So excited to break it all down. We got a nice 10-game slate here on this Wednesday night. Alex is going to mend for today and be back with us tomorrow, hopefully for the final show before the Olympic break. But his card will be posted on the Patreon page, as always, later on today. A great betcast last night. Thanks to all for joining us and making it always an enjoyable, fun betcast, a profitable betcast, more importantly. And in fact, it was the live bets on that betcast that kind of carried me through to a profitable night overall. But again, a big thanks to everybody that joined us on the betcast last night. Our only betcast, unfortunately, here in the month of February because of the lack of NHL action. But certainly a lot of fun last night, and we thank everybody for joining us on the betcast last night. Looking back on the Tuesday slate, boy, we had a couple of the dogs, the big dogs with Buffalo right there and couldn't win. Ottawa right there, even though they outshot Carolina, played a pretty good game, just could not find a way to get the dub. Carolina 4-3 win against Ottawa. I thought, all things considered, it was a really solid road effort from the Ottawa Senators. They outshot Carolina. I thought they carried the play for a good chunk of that game, but Brandon Bussi was very good again. Brandon Bussi just outplayed Reimer. James Reimer, I would have liked to have seen him make a save on the Seth Jarvis, the second goal that Seth Jarvis got, and it was a big goal at the time that made it 3-1. That being said, Ottawa got back even thanks to their power play and a couple of power play goals, and then Jordan Staal with the game-winning goal late in the third period. Carolina finding a way. I thought Ottawa, though, like I said, a pretty solid road game and did not get at least a point out of that. Unfortunate from their standpoint. But Carolina with the 4-3 win there in that game. We saw, obviously, last night the Columbus Blue Jackets. What a run it continues to be for them under Bones. 9-1 for the Blue Jackets now since the coaching change and Rick Bowness taking over as head coach. 3-0 shutout, very workmanlike effort. It was a very low event game. That's kind of what Rick Bowness wants this Columbus team to be. More dialed in, better defensively, stronger away from the puck, and we're definitely seeing a lot of signs like that. So Columbus with a nice 3-0 win. That was a best bet winner for me on the show last night with the Jackets. Great to see that come through. Philadelphia 4-2 win against Washington as they get a win, much needed win with the struggles they've had. They ended up opportunistic, 4 goals past Clay Stevenson, who got a second consecutive start because of the absence of both Logan Thompson and Charlie Lindgren. So Philadelphia, a much needed victory to stop the bleeding and stop their current losing streak with the 4-2 win there against Washington. Pittsburgh and the Islanders turned into a hell of a great game, entertainment-wise and betting-wise. We had the over, we had the draw. We cashed both of those. John Massey hit on the betcast last night, a correct score at 4-4 in regulation. So it was a great result for a lot of the Ice Guys family on with this game. Obviously, and the New York Islanders, man, they find a way. They were down multiple times. They're down 1-0, take the lead. Down 3-2, tie the game. Down 4-3, tie the game again. And then Bo Horvat in overtime to give the Islanders a 5-4 win over the Pittsburgh Penguins. And like I said, it ended up being a nice, spirited effort from the Islanders. Down multiple times, coming back each time and finding a way to win. Well done by the Islanders. And that's now 9-2 to the over in the last 11 head-to-head meetings between the Penguins and the Islanders. Really, that's the reason I took the over. It's not like I was necessarily looking at the current form and expecting a ton of goals, but sometimes when you see two teams going head-to-head and they just have a pattern of, a certain style against one another, and in this case, higher scoring games, that's why I like a lot of the series history overs, and that's why I try to mention them when I see them. And that's definitely what we saw with the Penguins and the Islanders. And like I said, now 9 out of the last 11 head-to-head meetings have gone over between those two teams. Tampa Bay, you got to give them credit. I mean, that tells you just how freaking amazing they've been in the last month or two. That's a brutal spot coming off the big comeback and all the pomp and circumstance and all the excitement of the outdoor game, the Stadium Series game on Sunday, and a down 5-1, come back, beat Boston 6-5, goalie fight between Vasilevsky and Swayman. All that was just ripe for an emotional hangover or letdown, and they avoided it, and they found a way to win. It wasn't pretty, but Tampa Bay was able to find a way to win. Tough loss if you're Buffalo because you were up 3-2 in the last minute. But Darren Radish, who has been, that's just a perfect symbol of this Tampa Bay season, that, he has been phenomenal in the absence of Victor Hedman on that Lightning blue line. He gets the tying goal with 26 seconds left in the third period, and then Jake Gensel wins it on a breakaway in overtime, and Tampa with a 4-3 win despite a brutal spot. So to get out of that game where we didn't hit the Buffalo first goal first period, we pushed on the first period money line, and then to lose the smaller bet on the full game money line, it's pretty tough. We did have the over by Fecta though, and if you were on the betcast, we did hit Buffalo to score a goal in the first period, which they did. We got that at plus 120, or at least I did. So again, I know a few people got on that as well. So like I said, very, very impressive. That might have been even more impressive than coming back to beat Boston, just because of coming off a game like that. It's not easy to be able to find a way in Tampa that good right now that they were still able to find a way to win that game. Toronto and Edmonton. We talked about this on the betcast. This is why your patience is important in sports betting. It didn't look good, right? It was scoreless well into the second period of that game last night. And here I am with a live over 6.5 that I took on the betcast, a live, 5.5. And it's like, holy mackerel, no goals still in the second period. And maybe you start to panic a little bit, but no, I never do. You stay calm. You always know, especially with teams like this, the floodgates could open at any moment. You stayed patient, and then all of a sudden, bam, you had 3 goals in about a 4-minute span in the second period, 2 of them by Toronto, for it to go to 2-1 at the end of the second. And then, of course, another goal bonanza in the third period of that game as well. And it was great to see that. But, like I said, I end up hitting the over 5.5 live during the betcast, the over 6.5 live during the betcast, even when it was looking grim, it's scoreless 7 minutes into the second period. So like I said, it's all about that patience and just sticking to your conviction and sticking to, tried and true methods of value when it comes to live betting. And we definitely were able to take advantage of that with the Leafs and the Oilers game ultimately opening up. That's a real great win for Toronto. 5-2, because the Calgary win and the Vancouver win, rightfully so, does not do much for anybody. Those are lousy hockey teams. Edmonton's a better team than those two. You did it on a back-to-back on the road, third game in 4 nights. You went there, you shut them down, you did a pretty good job, and more importantly, I think it's a relief for a lot of Leaf fans. Anthony Stolarz finally looked a lot more like the Stolarz of last season, when you could even make a case for him to be in the Vezina running last year. That's how good he was for the Leafs, and he had really struggled his first couple starts, looked rusty coming off the injury. He didn't play well against Vegas. I would say he didn't play that great against Seattle either in his last start, but certainly was a lot better last night against Edmonton. Made a couple of dazzling saves in the third period when Edmonton was making that push, and Toronto with a 5-2 win. And look, 3 wins in a row. They're 5 points out. They're not totally dead yet. People are already in the Toronto media market saying, they're going to sell. They're done. They're finished. Still a lot of season to go. That being said, Toronto has a lot of work to do, and they're going to have to come out of the break, play very good hockey. Like, they're going to have to go on this kind of a 7-1, 8-1 type of run coming out of the break to really get themselves right back into the mix as far as the playoffs are concerned. And it's pretty crazy where, unfortunately for the Leafs, they are now, how many points do they have? 63 points. They have 1 point fewer than Vegas. Vegas is leading their division, and Toronto's out of the playoffs. How about that? Vegas is leading their division with 64 points. Toronto is just 1 point less than Vegas. Vegas leading their division. Toronto 1 point fewer, out of the playoffs. So like I said, just unfortunately, the Atlantic Division is not the place to be this year with just how strong, stacked, and consistent top to bottom it has been, no question. And the last game of the night, Anaheim-Seattle, nice solid win for the Ducks, 4-2 against the Seattle Kraken. We lost the first period over, but late last night, and really we did this just to have something to cheer on, a bet to root for in the third period. But we jumped on over 4.5 and over 5.5 in the third period. We hit both of those. I know Alex cashed Anaheim fourth goal prop during that game as well. So great to see those cash in, and a nice win for Anaheim as they continue to play some very good hockey, and they get a 4-2 win against Seattle last night in that one. All right, let's get into the card for this Wednesday. Perlo will be here in a moment. Let's dive right into it and begin with Boston and Florida. This is the first of another TNT doubleheader. Shout out to Turner Sports. Back-to-back nights with a doubleheader. They've been doing this a lot, Tuesdays and Wednesdays of late. Another doubleheader on TNT tonight. This is the first game. Florida minus 150 home favorites, 6.5 the total in this one. Now, the Bruins are off the outdoor game and stadium series, but I don't know if the slow start that we kind of thought might happen to Tampa Bay applies to Boston, because Boston's on the other end of that game where they had a 5-1 lead and they lost and they blew the game, and lost 6-5 in a shootout. You could look at it and say, okay, maybe they are hungover from it. You can also look at it and say maybe they come out guns blazing here tonight, coming off a loss like that, which I'm sure was very, very disappointing. So we'll see how this one plays out. Florida, 4 straight losses. Time is ticking. They're running out of time, and they're running out of racetrack, and the deficit is getting bigger, not smaller, from them to the second and final wild card spot. They're now 9 points back of Boston for that second wild card spot. This essentially becomes, if you lose in regulation to Boston tonight, damn close to being over for the Florida Panthers as far as making the playoffs and trying to make it a third straight Stanley Cup championship. This is a game. There's not many times you say must-win game, and it's technically not a must-win game, because a must-win game, I always say, is when you're facing elimination in a playoff series. And if you lose that game, your season's over. That's a must-win game. But this is more of a hypothetical must-win game, but it feels as close to being a game you've got to have, if you're going to have any sort of notion of getting back into the playoff mix here for the Florida Panthers. Sergei Bobrovsky will be in net here tonight. Again, he's been shaky this year. It's not been stellar goalie Bob. 3-8, believe it or not, since January 1st. Can you believe he's 3-8? That's his record starting for Florida since January 1st. 3.87 goals against average, 829 save percentage. Just not typical goalie Bob numbers, and that's part of the reason why Florida's not defending as well, because goalie Bob's not bailing you out like he did last year or 2 years ago. So that continues to be the issue there with him. We'll see if he can step up here tonight. Jonas Korpisalo will get the start here for the Boston Bruins. Not totally shocked by that, quite honestly. We saw Swayman in the outdoor game. There's always that thought I had that maybe Marco Sturm would give a little rest here to Swayman, especially with the Olympics coming up. And that's exactly what we're seeing here. Boston does not play tomorrow night, so this is just, Swayman's got the Olympics coming up. Give him a little bit of rest. We'll see if how Korpisalo fares here in this game. Korpisalo is also another reason, too, that some people seem to think Korpisalo's getting in there is because they want to give him some work, because he's been added to Team Finland for the Winter Olympics because of the injury to Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen for Buffalo, which opened up a spot for Jonas Korpisalo with Finland, and they want to get him some work, before the Winter Olympics start. So we'll see how he fares here. He's got a 10-9 record, 3.12 goals against average, 895 save percentage on the season. He gave up 4 goals to the Rangers in his last start. It was an overtime loss to the Rangers. He gave up 3 before that in a victory against the Vegas Golden Knights. But again, he's given up 3+ in back-to-back starts. This one I like over trifecta. Over trifecta for me. Florida is having defensive problems. There is no question. You look at it, they gave up 5 to Buffalo, 5 to St. Louis, 4 to Utah. The struggles have been immense, as far as the defensive end of the ice is concerned. Both teams know the urgency of this game. Boston coming off a collapse against Tampa. Florida, the one thing we did see from Florida was a fast start, on their toes, pushing pace, in the offensive zone against Buffalo early when they got that 2-0 lead over the Sabres on Monday night. So, this definitely feels like a very good spot for a first period both teams to score. First period both teams to score, I think, is a solid look here. Urgency on both sides. Certainly there's got to be from the Florida Panthers. There's no question. And as well as the first period over and the full game over. But that first period, both teams to score makes a ton of sense. This easily could be a 1 goal apiece opening 20 minutes here between these two teams. Just updating the injury situation. Anton Lundell will be back here for Florida. So that's big. They at least get him back in the lineup. Brad Marchand, though, still out for the Florida Panthers. Pavel Zacha and Elias Lindholm both will remain out for the Boston Bruins here in this game. I mean, from a side perspective, a money line perspective, it's Bruins or nothing for me. I probably should take a shot with Boston at this price, knowing how untrustworthy Florida is right now. But this is still the heart of a 2-time Stanley Cup champion. They know the team they got to catch is the team they're playing tonight. They're 9 points back of this Boston team. This is a gotta-have-it game for Florida. But as we talk about, must-win doesn't equal will win. I don't fully trust the Panthers. I'm willing, at least pregame, not to bet against them either in a spot where this got to be a game they get 2 points against the team they have to catch for that final wild card spot. Perlo is in the house with us now. Perlo, good job, of course, on the BetCast last night. What do you think here, Boston, Florida?
Yeah, I think as far as the side, I think this is live bet here. You want to take a look at what both teams are going to be doing coming out of the gates, especially Boston after that, like you were mentioning, after that big game against Tampa. Boston really is not a team that falls into those spots this year, though. I mean, they've been winning as much as they have simply because they play the same no matter what. I mean, they've been a great bad spot team, especially at home. But here they are on the road. Huge game. What I do like here is I like the over, especially first period of both teams to score, especially with Corp in net. Corp has been playing well, but it is a difficult spot to put him in here. So I believe Boston will either wake up or come out hard to begin with. Florida's got to be in a desperate mode right now, you would have to think. So I like both teams to score first period, and I'm going to go with the over 2 here. I think we could have quite a humdinger first period, and I like over for the game. I just think you have two desperate teams. Both of them are allowing goals or scoring goals, either one. One of them will allow it, one of them will score. So I think we will get over for the game at over 6.5 here. So that's my regular plays for that game. I had Schwint for a goal at plus 900. Lundell is coming back, though. He was going to be on the second line, and I liked him there. But I do like the way he's been playing. I like the cut of his jib. I might even still sprinkle a little bit on him because Potras for a goal too. This is a guy who's trying to stay out of the minors and has been playing like he wants to stay out of the minors. He's been playing extremely well. So I got him for a goal. Had Rodriguez, but I'm taking it off now that Lundell is back. The other thing about now Lundell being back, that Luosterainen, Lundell, and Reinhardt line is fantastic as a shutdown line when they play. They generally don't score a lot when they're together. They actually are more shutting down the opposition. This is the reason why I kind of like Boston players down the lineup. I think the top line could be shut down not too bad today. So Boston players down the lineup, Minton or something like that. But also I'm going to point parlay Bennett and Tkachuk. I think both of those. I think if the points are going to probably come from that line here. So I like Bennett over shots and maybe Bennett for a goal, Tkachuk for assist, back and forth, something like that. I like that line here today for Florida.
I like the Latvian kid again. He scored last game. I bet it. Sandis Vilmanis has really been picking it up. He's really looked solid for the Florida Panthers since he's been up with this team. So I'm going to go back to the well with that on the Florida side. It is worth noting that at the moment they've got Lundell between Vilmanis and Greer. I think at the moment Paul Maurice might keep Rodriguez with Reinhart and E2 Kuhlman, Lusterine, and we'll see if that is indeed the case, but looking like that's possible. For Boston, who's Nadinov still on the top line, there's value. Take your pick from Middlestat, Minton, and Arvidsson. That line's been good lately. Middlestat's chipped in. Minton's, of course, the rookie of the month. He's been great. Arvidsson's got goals in back-to-back games. So it's hard to really go wrong with any of those three as choices. And you mentioned Potter. He did score last game. So, and obviously playing with some urgency to stay. He doesn't want to go back down. Nobody wants to go back down to the American Hockey League. So urgency to try to keep showing that he can stay and produce here at the NHL level for Matt Poitras. All right, Montreal, Winnipeg. Even money, -110 both sides, 6.5 the total in this game. Montreal was my initial lean. Then I saw Montembeault starting and quickly pivoted. So we'll be on Montreal now. That being said, I'm not taking Winnipeg off a road trip. I'm not exactly excited about the Winnipeg Jets in this spot, and they're not the better team anyway. Montreal is, in my mind. So, and Montreal's off that tough loss in overtime to Minnesota in their last game. We'll see if they're able to bounce back here in this matchup. Like I said, but for Winnipeg, even with Montembeault in net, and we've got questions, he hasn't been sharp here the last few times we've seen him in net. With Winnipeg coming off a 4-game road trip, that's not a spot I'm excited about backing the Jets. So this is a nothing burger for me right now. Maybe if it falls to 5.5, this could be a live over target, but there's not really much for me here. I could maybe look to the draw. I will look to the draw here. We do have 3 of the last 5 meetings between the Habs and the Jets going past regulation. We saw Winnipeg's last game against Dallas go to overtime. Montreal's last game against Minnesota went to overtime, and 2 of the last 4 have gone to overtime for the Montreal Canadiens. So I think there's enough parameters here. There's enough flags. There's enough indicators here that the draw has some potential. So the draw, I will sprinkle on that. Perlo, what do you think here? Montreal, Winnipeg.
Yeah, I like the draw as well, especially with Montembeault now in there. I do like Canadians first goal, first period, and Canadians money line first period with Winnipeg coming off the road there, and them having that tough loss in Minnesota. I think they should come out flying here. Now that Montembeault's in net, I'm almost thinking something like exact score 1-1 or both teams to score. I think Winnipeg should be able to pop one there. So I think I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna put that in the exact score 1-1 and Canadians to score the first goal. Winnipeg come back and get it. I got Perfetti over 1.5 shots at -130. It's been going over 7 straight. Finally starting to shoot there, so I'm taking him for that. And I'm looking at Hellebuck over saves. If there's one thing that Montreal didn't shoot anywhere near enough in Minnesota, and I think they're going to be looking to shoot a ton here. So Hellebuck is probably going to be dialed in pretty good, just getting ready for the Olympics. I don't think he'll be looking ahead so much as trying to make sure he's in fine form going into it. So I could see it's only 22.5. That it might be it might be a premium play for me actually down the road here. So I'm going to look at that.
All right, good stuff. Yeah, I'm on Perfetti goal. Perfetti's got you said what he's shooting the puck more. Yeah, because he's seeing the puck fucking go in finally for him. That is why you shoot the puck more. You start to get confidence, and when you start to score, you start to shoot more because hey, I'm starting to score. I'm going to keep shooting then, and that's what we're seeing.
Might as well take him for a goal too. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, back-to-back games with a goal, and you can get him plus 340 or so for Cole Perfetti for Winnipeg here. Definitely my favorite goal prop on the Winnipeg Jets side of the equation. For Montreal, Doc is with Suzuki and Caulfield, so I think there's a little value on the big guy, Kirby Doc, playing with those two, Caulfield and Suzuki. Slavkovsky, Demidov scored last game, of course, against Minnesota. There's a couple that maybe I'm interested in as well for the Habs here as far as goal props are concerned. And I will bet over 5.5, but we'll do that and look at that as a live option for sure. Hellebuck over saves, yeah. And I forgot to mention, now the concern is I worry that Florida with the because obviously Korpisalo over saves is what I'm talking about. That we talk about Florida and the high volume at home.
I was looking at it.
Backs against the wall spot because this is the team they have to catch for a playoff spot that they're playing tonight, Boston. So urgency. My only concern is they light them up like they did, because that's another reason why I like all those goals. First period, both teams to score. First period over, full game over with Boston, Florida. If you remember, we opened the NHL season last year, Boston at Florida, and it was Korpisalo versus Bobrovsky, that same matchup, and I think it was 6-4 for Florida, and it was like 4-1 Florida after the first period. I remember that game, and it was just a ton of goals early.
It's the reason why I like the over here, because I am thinking about over saves, but even if he's lit up, he's probably going to be lit up for like 4 or 5, and Florida could be shooting something around 35 shots here straight at him. So, and Boston, I think, is not going to give up in this game. So, it could. I think it'll stay somewhat tight. I don't think it's going to be like a blowout for Florida in this game at all. I can't see it. So, it could be like a 4-3 score, 5-3 score, and Korpisalo still gets over his save. So, I was looking at that. I haven't got to the window on it yet, but I might.
All right, next up, we've got Chicago and Columbus. It is Columbus minus 150, home favorites, 5.5 the total. This is, of course, second of back-to-back Jackets after the 3-0 shutout win against the New Jersey Devils last night. Obviously, look, Columbus is a one-way team for me. I'm either betting on them or I'm not betting aside. I'm certainly not betting against them right now. It's been a great run, 9-1 in the last 10 games. I think one of the great – Rick Bowness has given – his presence has just opened up confidence, gotten confidence back for so many players, right? Look at how Charlie Coyle's playing. Look at how Kent Johnson's played. Look at so many players on this team that are just playing with better and so much confidence. Nobody more than Elvis Merzlikins. This is maybe the most impressive work of Rick Bowness's tenure so far with Columbus. This goalie was done, finished. See you later. No one had any confidence in him anymore. The coach, Dean Evison, lost confidence, and I think Elvis probably lost confidence in himself. For Rick Bowness to step in there, go right away to Elvis and says, I believe in you. You're a better goalie than probably you think. You're a better goalie than a lot of people think. Keep working hard, and I'm going to give you the opportunity. And now here's Elvis Merzlikins, a shutout last night. What is he now, 5-1 with a 2.3 goals against average in his 6 starts? That might be the most impressive thing Rick Bowness has done in his early run here as Jackets head coach, is getting Elvis Merzlikins somehow out of the fucking gutter and back on his feet again and playing with some swagger and confidence and stopping the puck at a consistent level, because that just was not happening before. So credit to Rick Bowness for that. Of course, tonight on a back-to-back, we won't see Elvis Merzlikins, but we will see a very capable Jet Greaves, who has had a solid season for Columbus in net. Chicago will obviously be rolling with Spencer Knight. No surprise there going into this game. You know, wouldn't shock me if this is an under. Columbus wants to play low and slow hockey, focus on being better defensively. That's what Rick Bowness has been preaching right from the very beginning. And we saw them play that kind of way against New Jersey last night. With Spencer Knight in net, you know, you always have a potential for him maybe to keep the goals against down. I know Chicago's gone over in 4 of their last 5 games. It doesn't feel like a spot that's automatic to be, you know, a high-scoring affair. Nothing for me pregame with the money line, obviously, with the side. I'll certainly be interested in Columbus at plus money if they fall behind. And probably will look to that because they have also pulled off some comebacks during this 9-1 run under Rick Bowness. So Columbus live if they're a plus money, I'll bet it, but nothing pregame. The draw is kind of appealing. I could see this going overtime. I don't love it either. We'll wait. There's other draws I like more. I like the game we just talked about a little bit more with the draw. There's a couple more, but like I said, more of a live betting game for me than anything, although I do have some props, and I'll mention some of those. I'm going to take Olivier, you know, for Columbus. I think it's worth a shot. He's heating up. 3 of the last 5 he scored for the Jackets. I'm going to go back to Isaac Lundestrom one more time because I believe Marchenko is going to be out again, and he's still going to be with Fantilli and Marchment on that top line. The value's still great, even though he didn't, you know, it was a low-event game. He didn't score last night, but it's still, in theory, conceptually, a strong value look with Isaac Lundestrom as long as he stays on that top line. And then I think for Chicago, you know, you got Nazar, Bedard, Bertuzzi on the top line, Teravainen, Moore, Burakovsky on the second line. Donato is a streaky player, and he started to percolate a bit lately. So the thing with Ryan Donato is sometimes when he starts to get going, don't be shy about maybe looking toward his props. Perlo, what do you think here, Chicago, Columbus?
Yeah, kind of put me aback here because you're the over king, and I kind of was leaning to the over in this game. But I may slide off of it and look live now that you mentioned that. I always got to respect people who are really good at something. So I'm gonna lay off now that you said that. I didn't bet it. Glad I didn't bet it, but I do like the Blue Jackets first period puck line. They're 8-1-1 in their last 10 on first periods. That's just something you can't ignore. Yeah, you're getting plus 170 on that. That's I did. It might be different now because I think money's coming on the jacket. So even if it's plus 150, I definitely would back that. I also am going to take the -1 at plus 350. I think Columbus is going to come out barreling here. They're on a run. They're on a roll. Bonus, I think, is going to have them just rushing to remind them that we got playoffs. We're heading for a playoff spot. You guys are a great team. As far as what you said with Merzlikins, the Merzlikins to me seems like a guy that just doesn't take criticism very well, and he's just a guy that needs to be buttered up all the time. Butter, 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 butter. And I think Bonus should recognize that right away.
That. And that's what Bonus did. He's just trying to instill and pump up the tires and say, hey, you're better than you think. You're better than this. And, just make it feel good.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder, though, if now Greaves is taking a step back a little bit. That can be tough sometimes. You thought you had it. You're number one goaltender. And this is kind of the reason why I think I'm a little bit on the over here. I think Chicago can get a couple here on Greaves. I think he could be a little bit maybe not having the same confidence. You're talking about confidence. I mean, he had tons of confidence, and now he's being used as a backup straight up. They're using Merzlikins in all the starter spots and everything like that. So I kind of am leaning to the over, but we'll go with the we'll go with the live bet on that. I know the Bonus is preaching defense, but I think Chicago also coming off that big win, they're going to come in with some confidence here. It's the last game. I don't see them coming in and trying to shut anything down. They're going to try to score here. The more I think about it, I'm on the other side on the over, but I'm not going to bet it yet. One thing I will take, though.
Thing I will say for those that like an over, and you lean that way, and even I might sprinkle on it at 5.5. I'm looking at some history. Now, this is all pre-Rick Bonus, where this team has really been emphasizing the defensive zone. But 5 straight games head-to-head, and all 5 at least 6 goals minimum. Keep that in mind.
Yeah. Also, I'm going to go, this is kind of a theme. Potra was one, and this is another one. Guy trying to stay in the lineup, and I'll tell you, he's been playing damn good. I'll tell you, you can tell by watching. He's playing really well. He's playing with a lot of gumption. That's Sam Renzel, and he's gone over his shots ever since he got brought up, well over, and minus 120 for over 1.5 shots for Renzel. I really like that here. Columbus does still give up a lot of shots. They've been playing better defense, but still giving up a lot of shots, maybe more from the outside, I think is what's happening there. Bonus comes from that Dallas Hitchcock style. Keep everything to the outside. And if that's going to be the case here, I think the defense is going to get a lot of looks here. So I like Renzel, and I like him to score a goal too.
All right, good stuff indeed. Yeah, I'll say this about Greaves. Greaves still has given up 3 goals or less, I believe, in one. Let me count it up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of his last 6 starts, he's given up 3 goals or less. But the outlier is that Tampa game, that game that Columbus won 8-5. He gave up 5 goals. That was just one of those crazy games. It developed into pond hockey back and forth. I don't think he's been nearly as just dominant form. Greaves the last little bit hasn't been bad, but you're right. Little decline, but still overall the numbers are solid. We'll see how he fares, though. But I think now there's a little more pressure on Greaves now because obviously Rick Bonus has opened his arms, literally and figuratively. If you watch the post game, he gave Elvis a hug after that shutout win. He's opened his arms literally and figuratively to Elvis Merzlikins, Rick Bonus. So the pressure's on Greaves to, hey, if you still want to get your share of starts, you're gonna have to play well. And we'll see if he can do that here tonight for the Blue Jackets. And yes, Foligno in And Ryan Green out. Good call. And Alex was in the chat just mentioning that for Chicago. All right, Minnesota, Nashville. Minnesota minus 125, road favorite, 6.5 the total. Nothing more needs to be said. I like the draw a little bit. I do think it's a good draw spot. I could see overtime here with these two teams head to head. But you know what I like most of all? It's the crazy run continues. 17-2 Minnesota to the over in their last 19 games. Not to mention, I think they're now 10-1 in the first period over. In their last 11 games entering tonight. So, yeah, over by Fecta. Keep on rocking with it. The gift that keeps on giving. Over 1.5 first period, over 6.5 full game. Perlo, what do you think here, Minnesota, Nashville?
Yeah, I got it at a 6 last night, which was unbelievable. Definitely taking the over on that.
How is that? I saw that too. It was 6 juice to minus 120, but how the hell does that open a 6? How?
I have no idea. I was just like, boom. we did a quick show last night in the thing, and we were going over these games, and I looked up and saw the 6, and I just almost had a heart attack. I'm like, yeah, take that all over that. The other thing I'm looking at here is one thing Nashville, believe it or not, the team that gives up the second most shots in the NHL this year is the Minnesota Wild. And Nashville has been shooting.
They're no defensive juggernaut since Quinn Hughes got there. They're better offensively. They're lesser defensively. Yeah. That's why they've been a perfect over machine.
They're relying on their goaltending quite a bit. And Gus is good enough. And Nashville, one thing they do is they shoot. They shoot a lot. They shoot from everywhere. They know they don't have the talent to get all dipsy-doodle in the offensive zone. So Hines has them smartly shooting from everywhere a lot of the time. So I got the sneaky Gustafsson at 25.5. Unfortunately, it's juiced to the minus 135, so it won't be a premium. But I'm gonna put a little bit on it. I think this could be a tight game, like you said. It could be a draw, and if it is going to be a draw, then of course you got more added shots there in overtime to get over this total. I like Gustafsson over saves here. Also, Halla played his first 6 seasons in Minnesota. I like him for a goal in this game. And Hartman on the road is money for shots. And you can, and I took him at minus 135 for over 1.5. That's getting in the gold category there. That's really good. It's a really good one.
8 straight starts. Saros is in net, by the way, for Nashville. 8 straight starts where he's given up at least 3 goals. He's been pulled twice in his last 8 starts. He got pulled against Buffalo and pulled in the last game against St. Louis in that crazy comeback. He got pulled before the comeback started for the Nashville Predators in that game. So, yeah, like I said, that's why this – not to mention, we talk about the Nashville overrun, right? 17-2 full game overrun. 12-1 first period overrun. We got to start talking about Nashville. That's the other part of this equation. They're 8-2 to the over in their last 10. They've been a little bit of an over juggernaut too lately. So to see that total open 6, I was mystified, shocked by that. But anyway, yeah, we're just going to keep on riding it with Minnesota overs once again here tonight. 3 straight games with a goal for Forsberg and Kaprizov coming into tonight. 2-game goal scoring streaks for Eriksson Ek and for Brock Faber, who scored a really nice goal. Great instincts to just jump in, swoop in, find that loose puck, and obviously to beat Jakub Dobish for what was the tying goal against Minnesota or against Montreal the other night. So Brock Faber, he's got a little bit of a goal-scoring wave. So no question, keep an eye on that. He has scored in back-to-back games here for the Minnesota Wild. What else have we got here? Kaprizov. He has scored, obviously, in 4 of the last 5. Eriksson Ek, 4 of the last 5 for them. So, I would say don't stray. Hartman still does have value, but obviously right now, riding the hot hand for Minnesota, Kaprizov, Eriksson Ek, Hughes and Faber points. I mean, Hughes is still putting up points as well, assists in particular. I wouldn't argue with any of that as well. Maybe here's one, just a former player angle for me here. Erik Haula started his career with the Minnesota Wild, and he does have. Well, he has an assist in each of the last 2 games, not a goal. But I'll sprinkle on the Erik Haula goal prop tonight here for the Nashville Predators here in this one against his old mates. All right, Detroit, Utah. Utah minus 130 home favorites and 6 the total here in this game with the Red Wings and Mammoth. What a impressive bounce back from the Red Wings. You get shut out by Colorado in your building, and you go to Denver, face that same team, and you do the same thing to them, and you shut them out 2-0 on Monday night. Very impressive from the Red Wings. We'll see if that snapped a 3-game losing streak. And they've talked about, Todd McClellan's telling his team, suck it up. I know you've lost 3 in a row. I know you're feeling some fatigue. Everybody's feeling fatigue, at this time of year. Suck it up, find a way to get through it and win. And they certainly did that against Colorado. We'll see if they can do that here at Utah. Karel Vejmelka confirmed in net here for the Utah Mammoth here tonight. What's interesting is we know John Gibson's gotten the lion's share of starts lately for the Detroit Red Wings, and rightfully so. He's been absolutely phenomenal, but he's not been confirmed yet. No site has confirmed who the starting goalie is yet for Detroit, which leaves the door open maybe that we could see a Cam Talbot night in net for the Detroit Red Wings. Not saying for sure that will be the case, but when you go this long and you have not seen the goalie announced, it makes me think Todd McClellan's maybe considering giving John Gibson a little rest here tonight. We'll see. But again, hasn't been confirmed as of yet. So that's what I'm waiting on. Can't move on this game until I see that. The draw is kind of appealing to me here with Detroit and Utah. You got an East team versus a West team. Both teams needing points, wanting points here in this game. So this is a good draw candidate here. Red Wings and Mammoth will probably be on that. If it's Talbot, I'll probably like the over in some fashion. If it's Gibson, I'll probably like Detroit in some fashion. Because this price with them, plus 110, I know Utah's been a good home team this year. I get that. 16-8-2. But when's the last time they've beaten a real great team at home? I know they beat Toronto on a brutal spot for Toronto a couple of weeks ago. They did beat Dallas at home a couple of weeks ago as well. But, the rest of their home wins lately, Seattle up and down. Philly was struggling when Utah beat them. They beat Vancouver. That does nothing for me in their last home game. So, like I said, if it's Gibson, I'm probably going to be interested in a plus price with Detroit here. Perlo, what do you think? Red Wings, Mammoth.
I just think this is too tough of a spot for Detroit after those 2 Colorado back-to-back games in altitude and everything like that. Utah, I mean, they got nothing else to play for here. They got to keep that playoff spot. I just think it's going to be too tough for Detroit here. Utah is great shot, is not a great, but very good shot suppression team, and Detroit relies quite a bit on volume to score. I think they could just pooch out here. It's going to be tough. I think Utah's going to be playing.
I'll say this to that point. Todd McClellan was talking about the team looking tired, and some of the players saying looking tired as well, and
yeah.
The good news is they had a day off. Toronto did not get this luxury. Toronto had to play Colorado, Utah back-to-back on the road a few weeks ago. At least for Detroit, they do get the day off. But it is still 2 in 3 days in the altitude.
With everything.
Team complaining, the coach worried that they're feeling some fatigue. So that could be a little bit of a detriment here tonight.
Especially that Colorado win.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you recreate that energy against Utah? It's just such a flat spot. To me, it's just such a flat spot. I like Utah team total over 3 and 3.
If it's Talbot, I might even go to that Utah team total over.
Yeah.
I might. Yep.
I like Utah money line. It's not a bad price at minus 130, and I'm taking Utah puck line too, plus 180. I really am high on Utah here. Utah first period puck line. I like Utah everything, and a little bit on Yamamoto for a goal.
Now I'll take Yamamoto again. He let me down the other night, but I'll still come back one more time to him. Yeah.
Go to Perlo's NHL POW. I haven't been able to dive heavy into props today because I was real busy before the show. So I'll post them up on my Twitter there, and also there's I got a short that you can listen to as well.
All right, good stuff there. It's not much. Like I said, for Utah, I like Lawson Krause, though. I will say that he's still on the top line with Schmaltz and Keller. So and Yamamoto, those are the 2 props I like most of all for the Utah Mammoth. Dylan Gunther, of course, still is looks like he had that injury concern, but he's been back now for a couple of games. Got an assist against Vancouver in the last game. For Detroit, one player I will bet here is Casper. Been waiting on Casper. He did score one of the goals against Colorado the other night. He's still with Larkin and Raymond, so We've been waiting for, like, Casper has been up there for so long and just hasn't given you the offensive production you expected. So definitely, now that he's found the back of the net, maybe it gets our old friend Casper, the friendly betting ghost, going a little bit for the Detroit Red Wings. All right, San Jose, Colorado. We've got Colorado minus 280 home favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. Oh, good point by Jonathan. JVR, 4 goals in 6 games against Vimelka. So maybe it's a JVR night here for Detroit in this game. Here, you talk about a team that looks like they need the break and running out
Mason
of gas.
Appleton's up on the second line.
Oh, okay. Good point. Who did you say again?
Mason Appleton's up on the second line that I see here. I wouldn't mind on that because do you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's a little lag in your connection, Perlo. So what you can do? Exit the studio, come back in, see if that fixes it, because I noticed your connection was just lagging there for a bit. There we go. So we'll see if that corrects it for Perlo. Anyway, what I was saying here, San Jose, Colorado. San Jose looks like a team that needs the break. I mean, they haven't looked good these last couple games. Calgary and Chicago. I mean, that Chicago game was not good. I mean, they were awful for half that game. Brutal. Terrible. I mean, terrible. And Chicago is obviously a team that's been certainly up and down. But for San Jose to look that bad, and Calgary, they're lucky they were in at 3-2. They were badly outplayed in that game against the Flames. So I'm a little bit worried this team just needs the break, and not easy to back them. And you got Colorado off being shut out by Detroit at home, and you would think that they're going to, bounce back here, Colorado. But there's a lot of Colorado players going to the Olympics after this. You know what I mean? McKinnon, Makar. You go on down the list of just there's so many players that are going to be representing their countries at the Winter Olympics. So you would think after getting shut out by Detroit, you're going to come out ripping and roaring here if you're Colorado. But the Winter Olympic, the final game before the Winter Olympic hockey tournament spot is more worrisome to me for the teams with a lot of players going to that tournament. Colorado has their share of players going to that tournament. And so that's why I'm not totally convinced this is a kill spot for the Colorado. Normally it would be. At home off a shutout home loss, which rarely ever happens to them. Normally that is for Colorado, but it's kind of a rock and a hard place game. Do you trust Colorado with all these guys going to the Olympics to be focused tonight? Do you trust San Jose to have a step-up effort when they look lethargic and stuck in mud and not playing all that great here the last couple of games in this one? So that's the big question. I mean, I want to take a shot here with San Jose. I am going to bet them in the first period to score. They're close enough now to that minus 300 range in this game. Colorado as a big favorite. We've talked about that angle. It's not there. They're not a minus 300 favorite or better, but they're close. And we've talked about that angle of the underdog scoring in the first period in those spots against a favorite of minus 300 or more. And I think it's close enough that you get San Jose in that minus 130 type of price range to score in the first period. I do like that with San Jose. I mean, they have to be good early, because if you're slow out of the gate like they were against Calgary and against Chicago, especially Chicago, you're going to get blitzed here possibly at Ball Arena. So you've got to be ready to make a strong impression early in the hockey game if you're San Jose. So that's why I think if they're behind after the first period, they're going to be in some trouble. So actually, FanDuel's got it at minus 124 for San Jose goal in the first period. I do like that. That to me is worth a look here in this game tonight for the San Jose Sharks. As far as the full game money line, hell, I don't. If I had seen better out of San Jose, I'd be way more interested in taking them at plus 240. I do kind of lean that way. I'm going to see how they come out here. Like, I'm going to see if they get on the board early with that first period, a goal, and then we'll go from there. And plus, Colorado off the shutout lost 2-0. It could go one of both ways. Like I said, they either come out storming, or again, with this being the last game before the Winter Olympic break, perhaps the head is toward Milan and Cortina for some of these Avalanche players that are going to be Olympics bound after this. So I do like San Jose goal in the first period. I do think both teams to score in the first period could be a good option here in this game, with both teams, San Jose should have motivation. Does the physical side of it match the motivation? That's the question, because they've looked like a team that's been, stuck in mud, is the way I would put it the last couple games. But they should be, you don't want to go into the break on another loss for a San Jose team that is now on the outside looking in. They're a few points out of the wild card now with this little stumble they've had. So both teams to score first period over. San Jose goal in the first period. Probably wait to get a live over rather than bet 6.5 pregame as well. It's kind of what I'm looking at. Hard not to like overs when you have Colorado at home and Colorado off a very rare shutout home loss. Very hard to think it's going to be a 2-1, 3-1 type of game, Colorado, in that kind of situation. And goaltending, by the way, for this game, it is confirmed that we were going to have Yaroslav Askarov for San Jose, Mackenzie Blackwood for Colorado. Perlo, what do you think here? Sharks, Avs?
I just like over for the game. San Jose will probably set the pace for sure. I mean, they're not going to come out slow here. I would imagine they were kind of looking ahead of this game in the Chicago game, and the coach kind of woke them up and said, "Hey, we got a game right now," and they did, wake up, and they played a lot better. So whatever they got left here, there's nothing to do but play as hard as you can. So I think they'll set the pace. I think Colorado's pride at home is going to come to fruition eventually here. So I'm gonna play a little bit on this now, but I'm gonna really play it live, and that's the over 2 second period. I do like the over first period and both teams to score or something of that nature, but I really think Colorado will wake up in the second period, especially if the Sharks are up early and our Sharks are up in the first. That would be a slam play. If the Sharks happen to be up 1-0 or 2-1 in the first, I think Colorado will wake up and play for their fans in the second here, and you'll see a really high scoring game. So I got the over 6.5. As far as the side is concerned, you're right. Like, kind of want to go with the Sharks here at plus 240. I don't. It's another live. It's a great live betting game. If Colorado, maybe they're like, look, enough is enough. I don't care about the Olympics. We don't care about that. We got fans here. We're at home. We got to protect our barn. They come out flying in the first. They could ruin the Sharks here. So I really don't know either way which way it's going to be. So it's going to be more of a live bet to me than anything. Maybe Sharks plus 1.5. I don't know. It's tough, but I like the over 6.5 for sure.
Yeah, and by the way,
overs in the first and second.
First period probably over is good to look to. At 17-4 combined, by the way, 17-4 combined. First period over run for San Jose and Colorado. So
I don't even mind the over 2 here in the first period. Just forget the second period. Maybe over 2 in the first peried.
Keeper Sherwood everybody's onto it. He's making his Sharks debut tonight on the top. Yeah, you have to bet his goal prop. Have to. Absolutely. It's a must. Doesn't mean he's going to score, but if they're going to put him with Macklin, Celebrini, and Will Smith on the top line, you must bet Kiefer Sherwood.
Take him for a point at least.
Yeah. There's no question about that. Yeah, Kiefer Sherwood's worth a look. I even think the young kid, he's centering the top line now with the Misa with Toffoli and Eklund. They've given him a little bit of a bump now up the lineup. And I'm going to go back to Adam Gaudette one more time here with Adam Gaudette. I know he didn't score last game, but like I said, he had been pretty good. And maybe as well, one thing for the let me just see here. Colorado, I should say.
I might look lower down the lineup for Colorado. Like you said, they're going to be, they don't want to be getting hurt and all that kind of stuff like that. They may rely like Colton.
Colton's a good look. Parker Kelly, man. I'm interested in him. He scored all of a sudden 3 goals in the last 6 games.
Feels like something Kiviranta would score in this game for some reason. I don't know. Yeah.
I like though. I mean, if you're looking for some value and guys that are down the lineup for Colorado have been chipping in lately, Parker Kelly is one.
Panarin to LA. Panarin to LA. My prediction comes true. I wish I could have bet that. He's going to LA. I knew he was going to LA.
Oh my gosh! So there we go. Well, should have waited for the breaking news, but we will play that now. We do have some breaking news here. Artemi, I'm glad I don't have to hear about it anymore. But Artemi Panarin, the bread man.
This is breaking news from the Ice Guys.
All right, there you have it. Indeed, it is Artemi Panarin to the Los Angeles Kings. Very, very interesting turn of events here. Look, they do need offense, LA. We know that. I mean, from a need standpoint, I see it. I'll be the first to admit. Like I said, I will be the first to admit. I'm not a Panarin guy when it comes to the playoffs. I'm not. I think there's always more to give for him in the playoffs in those big moments and big spots, and I don't often see it. He's a great offensive talent. We know that. He's a great regular season player. I know that. I just wish we see more from him in the postseason. But the Kings are thinking about, we got to make the playoffs first. And from a playoff standpoint, he, is going to help them probably get in and certainly give them a jolt offensively. No question. Will make them a better offensive team in the regular season to try to get into the playoffs. But I am not a big Panarin guy in the playoffs. I always think he's got it. Can't find him with a telescope. Russell Deck, 100% in the playoffs. Way too many times we see it with him. So, like I said, if your goal is making the playoffs, he'll help. If your goal is winning the Stanley Cup, I don't think he's that big needle mover some people will think he is. That's me, though. But he is an LA King, and we'll see what that means as far as, what's going to go back to the New York Rangers. We're trying to find out what kind of return they got. But it looks like Liam Greentree is part of the return going to the New York Rangers. And one thing I know about that guy, he's still playing in junior right now. He's actually the captain of his team, the Windsor Spitfires. Going to be a really good pro. One of these guys is going to be a good leader, good in the dressing room, be good offensively, be good defensively, do a lot of good, be a good two-way player, and character type of player as well. So that's a good player in return for the Rangers, no question about it. But Panarin to the LA Kings. Perlo, what's your thoughts on him going to La La Land?
Yeah, as far as like the green tree, first of all, like talk about the Rangers. You're getting the reason why Drury is getting rope here is he basically is told he's going to change. He wants high character players. He's trying to bring in high character players. He thinks there's been a character problem in there. It's been sort of a spa in New York, and you know what? He might not be wrong. It could very it's very well could be true. As far as Panarin going to LA, it's head scratching to me, depending on what the return is. Sure, he helps. He's a very good 3-zone player too. He doesn't get enough credit for that, and they've got a lot of those on that team. It just seems like more of what they already have. It just seems like more. You got Fiala, you got Kempe. Now you got Panarin. You don't really have a big center to play for. And all of it don't matter. You know what I'm going to say. You could put McDavid on that team. I don't give a shit. You're not doing nothing with Hiller as a coach. So whatever. It don't matter. So, yeah, it's a trade. It's a trade. I don't see how it's going to be super great for LA or not. I mean, maybe.
I'll be honest. Greentree's a nice ad, but the rest of it doesn't seem like the rest of the returns all that much.
I'd like to know what the rest is here. I thought maybe they were going to get, something significant, at least what's his name? Their young center or something like that. But it seems to me, this is why I said he's going to LA, is because he had to protect. He just told them, I'm going to LA. Him and his wife are both huge in the fashion industry. It's the reason why I wanted to go to New York to begin with. So it's only natural you're going to LA or Anaheim. And if they didn't have any, basically he probably tied their hands. He wasn't really happy with the organization in the world anyway.
By the way, why is Adam Schefter tweeting about this trade? He's an NFL insider, not an NHL. But anyway, he
wasn't happy with New York anyway, so he wasn't going to give him a bunch of teams to go to. So I can imagine that this is going to be fairly light, maybe a first green tree, and who knows.
But yeah, Artemi Panarin to the LA Kings. I will say this: they need offense. He will help them. He will help them in the.
They need offense because of poor coaching, not because of the fact that they don't have offensive players. LA plays to not lose. And as long as you're playing to not lose, you're not going to be a good team. It's certainly not going to do anything in the playoffs. That's for sure.
Yeah.
They changed the coach up, but I think this still is a strong team, and Panarin does help them out quite a bit. But if you don't, it's not going to change anything.
All right, St. Louis and Dallas. On we go to the rest of the Wednesday slate here. We've got Dallas minus 210 home favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. I definitely like it. 5.5. I like this over 5.5 for sure. St. Louis is on a nice little over surge of late. They can't keep the puck out of the net. That's their big problem. 6 goals in that collapse to Nashville, 5 to Columbus, 4 to Florida, 4 to Dallas, 5 down. I mean, they've been an atrocious defensive team here. 8 straight losses, or not 8 straight, but 1-7 in their last 8 games for the Blues. 5 straight overs for the Blues. Dallas is on a 5-game win streak, scored at least 3 goals in all 5 wins. They get Binnington tonight in net for the Blues.
Oh, it's Binnington?
Ottinger, yeah, it's Binnington for St. Louis, Ottinger for Dallas. I think 5.5 is pretty cheap. I like over 5.5. Obviously, I think Dallas wins, but minus 210. You could go team total instead for Dallas. I think I might have a smaller piece of that, over 3.5 stars team total, but I like over 5.5. With the way the Blues aren't defending right now, the fact that Dallas is scoring, and actually St. Louis is scoring too. St. Louis has picked it up offensively, but they've just fallen off big time defensively here during this bad run. So I think 5.5, the over's worth it. What do you think here, Perlo? Blues Stars?
Yeah, I think these Blues players are just padding their stats.
Padding their stats, yeah.
That's what they're doing. Yeah, there's no defense being played. Everybody knows they're going to be going out. They got family, going on vacation and stuff like that. Ain't nobody want to get hurt in this game. I love this over 5.5. And now that you said that Binnington is going to be in that, team total over all day. Do you think Binnington gives a rat's ass about this game?
He's going to freaking Milan Cortina after this to play for Canada. That's where
I'm going to ladder the Dallas team total over here. The only thing I don't like about this game is how much does Dallas really want to run it?
You watch him. Knowing this Binnington and what he did at Four Nations, you watch. He's going to get lit up tonight, probably 6 goals or whatever. He's going to go to Milan Cortina, somehow coerce John Cooper and the coaching staff, despite his shitty NHL season, to make him the starter because he won gold for them at Four Nations. He'll come out there in that first start in Four Nations and watch him be a brick wall.
Oh, yeah.
Play possum with everybody. Yeah,
absolutely. No doubt about it. This is the craziest goaltender I've ever seen. He's a Claude Lemieux of goaltenders. Remember when Claude Lemieux said, "Call me in the playoffs"?
Analogy, yeah. Claude Lemieux.
Yeah, he's like the Claude Lemieux of goaltenders. You do realize you got to make the playoffs to play the big games, right? Yeah. But he's got the Olympics, so he's got big games. Why don't you come off the Olympics and he'll just go nuts, and you won't be able to get anything on him after the Olympics. Watch out for that. I bet you after the Olympics, Binnington plays his freaking ass off, and he does really well. And maybe he gets traded out of there. Who knows? Somebody might just take he's a weird guy, man. But he ain't going to stop shit in this game. Team total over, no doubt about it. Taking Dallas team total over here. I like the over for the game, and I like Dallas for the game too. But minus 210, the way the Blues, and it's getting to the break. Dallas, I could see Dallas letting up in the third. They've been known to do that. They've been known to do that, and the Blues coming back and doing something here. So I'm not going to worry too much about the side, but definitely like the team total over. I don't even mind if you can get a 2.5 at a decent price. I don't mind the Blues team total over here. Like this over 5.5 to me seems money.
Yeah, it just seems, given the circumstances, and again, the way the Blues are not paying much attention at the moment defensively to that part of the ice, at that end of the ice. Yeah, definitely hard to envision this, not going over 5.5, I should say, here with the Blues and the Stars here tonight. As far as props go for this game, we got back-to-back games with a goal for Jake Neighbors. Won't you be my neighbor? He's scored in back-to-back games. I think I might sprinkle on that. Thomas Harley for Dallas has scored in back-to-back games, including the overtime winner for the Stars against the Winnipeg Jets the other night. So Thomas Harley, another defenseman, starting to get into the play, into the rush a little bit, and getting involved from the point, from the blue line offensively here for the Dallas Stars. I would say, too, Maverick Bourque, Rutskovian, if they stay on the top 6, there's value. Doesn't mean they're going to produce and cash for you, but definitely the values there with them. Snuggerud too has picked it up lately. He's been on the top line. So him to go along with Neighbors are the two I would look at for St. Louis. And by the way, we do have a more minor trade going on that Nick Bukestad has been traded from the St. Louis Blues here in the last, I believe, 30 minutes or so. Nick Bukestad acquired by the New Jersey Devils. So there you go, the Devils. That'll get them to stop saying fire Fitzy. Here comes Nick Bukestad to the New Jersey Devils in that trade with the St. Louis Blues. So Nick Bukestad on his way to Jersey following that deal. All right, Vancouver and Vegas. We've got Vegas minus 290, home favorite, 6.5 the total here in this game. This is an impossible money line. Like, there's no chance Vegas is worthy of minus 290 the way they're playing right now. But is Vancouver bettable right now? And they did win against Anaheim. They did take Toronto to overtime. I get that, but yeah, it's not like I'm that excited to bet Vancouver here either. Akira Schmid will be in net for Vegas. It's Kevin Lankinen again here for the Vancouver Canucks. This is the kind of shit that's going on with the goaltending here for Vancouver, that makes you think, unless he's hurt, Tolopilo, he's not. That makes you think, are we just tanking? Are we just trying to lose, at this point in time? Like, Lankinen hasn't been any good. Really, he's not been any good at all for the Vancouver Canucks. So, to see, knowing that Tolopilo shut out Anaheim, Topo Gigio, or Topo Chico, as Alex would say, knowing he shut out Anaheim, he played pretty well against Toronto, even though they lost in overtime. I thought he played a pretty solid game, and yet you're going back to Lankinen, who just got lit up by Utah in the last game that he started. I mean, how is this not first period over? How is this not maybe even full game over? How is this not even Vancouver? There's people in our chat that like Vancouver to score in the first period. I'll tell you what, that's not a terrible look. Vegas has gotten off to one slow start after another. How many games in a row now has Vegas given up a goal in the first period? It has happened way too often, far too much to this hockey team. So that's probably what I'll do with Vancouver. I'll ask them to score in the first period, and that's all I will ask them to do, because do I trust them to win the game? Not really, but there's no chance in hell there's any value to me, Vegas in their current form at a money line price like this. So I'll probably get Vancouver goal in the first, and I like an over by Fecta here probably as well. What do you think here? This could be worth of both teams to score in the first period as well. Perlo, what do you think here, Vancouver, Vegas?
Perlo special here. Vancouver to score first period, Vegas second period. You get that. I'll bump it up to about plus 140 or something like that. I think Vancouver will score. Yeah, I think they're going to. I mean, they got to play with pride here, and I think Adam Foote is actually a good coach with a bad team. I think they'll have them, and I don't see much defensive play happening here too. I am leaning to the over 6.5 one way or another. This gets over 6.5 as well. Yeah, over 6.5 probably. But what I really like is Vegas third period puck line. I think they're like third. JD will tell me, what is the third period puck line, JD? And I think it's an incredible number. So regardless, even if they're up in the game, they end up puck lining in the third. It takes them a while to get going. Hopefully it's close, but Vegas third period puck line is the best I can do with Vegas on this number that they're giving you. It's about plus 120 or something like that. It's just hitting over and over and over again. So I'm going to play that Perlo special, and both maybe both teams to score first period and over 6.5.
Drew O'Connor's on the top line. There's probably a little value for him for the Canucks tonight. But the one I'm going to mention is all of a sudden Teddy Bluger. And this guy is still not playing big minutes. He's on the third line right now for Vancouver. But Teddy Bluger flying way under the radar with goals in 5 of the last 10 games, 3 of the last 5 games. And you can get him at that plus 650, type of price for him to find the back of the net. So probably some good value there. I'm going to go back to close shave Barbashev. He's streaky. He's scored in 3 straight games. And Jonathan pointed this out to us in the chat. I think you have to bet him. If he is on the top line, and it looks like he is tonight, Alexander Holtz, slated to be with Eichel and Barbashev on the top line for Vegas. If that's the case, I mean, holy shit, you got to take that goal prop because the price on that is more than worth it. We're talking plus 600 at BetMGM right now for Alex Holtz. And if he plays on the top line for Vegas, that is amazing goal prop value there. All right, Edmonton, Calgary, Battle of Alberta. We've got Edmonton minus 135, home road favorites, 6.5 the total here in this game. I'm going to sprinkle on over 6.5 pregame. I'm going to wait to see if I get 5.5 or better live and add more. I do expect goals. I know Calgary's been an under team, but when it's Edmonton, Calgary, the animosity is ratcheted up. There's penalties. Often there's a lot of power plays because of the bad blood factor between these rivals in the Battle of Alberta. But I'm going to try to see if I can get 5.5. So I'll sprinkle on the pregame 6.5 and wait for the 5.5 to bet a little more over in this game. I'm not laying it with Edmonton on the road on a back-to-back. Am I excited to bet Calgary with one win in their last 7 games? No, but I'm not laying this with Edmonton, so I'm kind of off the side. I don't really love either end of this. Edmonton laying a price like this on the road with the issues defensively, with the goaltending struggles. I mean, I can't lay minus 135 with a team that has given up a minimum of 3 goals now in 6 straight games. In fact, they have given up a whopping, on that homestand, the last 5 games of it, this team gave up 24 goals. And the goaltending, whether it is Jari tonight, or obviously last night Ingram. Now, Ingram had actually been okay, but the last couple Ingram starts were not as good. Jari, it has been a problem. So Jari, this is a big start for him here tonight. He struggled recently. He's allowed at least 4 goals in 3 of his last 4 starts. And like I said, we will see if he can bounce back here, but kind of want to see it before I believe it. Devin Cooley will get the start here for Calgary in this game after not starting the last 2. He's lost his last 2 starts, hasn't been terrible, but 2 goals allowed to Washington, 3 goals allowed to Minnesota. He will be put to the test by Edmonton. The one thing they can do is score, and we know they'll be motivated to do so after a 5-2 loss to the Leafs last night. But, like I said, the only bets I've made pregame is over 6.5. We'll add 5.5 if we see it. Perlo, what do you think here? Battle of Alberta, Oilers, Flames.
Yeah, I'm going to play the over here. I can't see this being slow. But, I mean,
by the way, Calgary games are starting to become higher event, too. That's worth noting. The San Jose game could have went over, even though it was 3-2. Calgary had 42 shots in that game. And then the Toronto game, if not for some crazy, saves and bounces of the puck, that could have been more than 6 goals. So, yeah.
Oh, just another thing. I just should bet Binnington under 22.5 saves. Dallas is not a high shot volume team anyways, and I wouldn't be surprised if he gets pulled. So I just bet that. But I've been back and forth on this game, but I'm leaning Calgary team total over here. I think Jari is ass. Just period. I don't buy it. You switch to a different team and you get to go to your farm and now you're going to be a good goaltender? When has this guy been a good goaltender for more than 3 or 4 games, if anything, in the past 3 years? It's terrible. It's a terrible trade, horrible trade, ridiculous trade. Now he's got a shit ton of...
I know Alex isn't shocked because Stanley Bowman is the man that pulled the trigger on said trade.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So let me get this straight. Jari, who can't, anytime pressure is on, crumbles all to shit. What we should do is bring him home in front of all of his family and friends to watch him every day. That's a good idea. No pressure there. No, give me Calgary team total over here probably. I like the over for the game. They one thing about you can say about Calgary, I know they're the Sternums, but they do have a high shot volume, and they will probably get a whole bunch of shots on Jari here. And one thing Jari isn't very good at, which isn't good for a goaltender, is getting a lot of shots. So I'm going to take Calgary team total over 2.5 here. It's probably minus 125 or something like that. And I may take Edmonton. I think this goes way over. I think Edmonton is going to play. Okay. They're going to go back and forth. I think this goes way over. Both teams to score first period. But my biggest play, as it always is in Edmonton games, over second period. over second period. If you can get it at a 2, great. I go 2. I usually split it between the 2 and 2.5. It's just all their record on second period overs over the last 2 years has been unbelievable. So that'll be my biggest bet.
Yeah, I like Joel Farabee. I do. Back-to-back games now with a goal for Farabee on the second line with Godry and Zary. Coronado, Backlund, Sharon Govich, the top line. I don't mind Coronado and Sharon Govich to look in their direction either for Calgary goal props. For Edmonton, same usual suspects. Kapanen scored last night. I'd consider going back to Kapanen tonight. Maybe Podkolzin, maybe Savoy, worth a look as well on that third line. Oh, I also want to point out, too, if this was a betcast night, Jonathan mentioning how the team total is over 2.5 at -160 for Calgary. My plan is that I'm going to bet it if it hits to even money. If it gets down to even money, Calgary team total over 2.5. It's -160 right now.
Wow. Okay. I didn't realize it was that juiced. Yeah.
So, but I plan on betting it too. Calgary team total over. I'm just going to wait until I get down to -120 or better. Ideally, I'd love +100 or better on that Calgary team total over 2.5. If I see it during the game tonight, then definitely I will take a look in that direction. All right, Seattle. Now, that's a good point someone made about how it has been trending under in the Edmonton-Calgary series, but that's also why I'm waiting for the 5.5, because a lot of these unders have been games where it's still gotten to 6. You know what I mean? We had a 5-1. We had a 4-2 between these two teams. Lots of 4. We've had a lot of games get to 6. We just haven't always seen them get to 7. So that's why I'm only dabbling pregame in the 6.5, and I'm going to wait to see if the 5.5 shows.
I think we're going to see penalties in this one, though. There's going to be power plays in this one.
That's always what you think we're going to see with these two teams, just because the animosity, is so high.
Especially with Calgary having nothing else to play for. Like, this is a huge game. I wouldn't even be surprised if Calgary wins this game. I wouldn't be surprised.
Nothing would shock me. Edmonton winning comfortably wouldn't shock me. Calgary wouldn't win. Even with their struggles lately, Calgary winning would not shock me here in this game tonight. All right, last game of the night, Seattle, Los Angeles. LA -180, home favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. I'm going to keep it simple. No business do the Kings have being trustworthy in this price range, especially coming off a road trip out east. My goodness, this is their first game back from playing St. Louis, Detroit, Buffalo, Philly, Carolina, all on the road, 5-game road trip. In fact, it's been 7 straight games where they've had to travel to their next destination prior to returning home, from that 5-game road trip. Seattle, I know it's back-to-back for Seattle, but they lost 4-2. There's probably urgency to get back in the saddle. And, didn't we just see LA playing a Seattle team at home when Seattle was on a back-to-back and Seattle was on that brutal winless drought on a back-to-back, and they snapped that winless drought on a back-to-back against who? This LA Kings team. Yes, back in December when Seattle on a back-to-back beat Los Angeles here in LA 3-2. Give me the dog. Give me Seattle +150. Give me the draw. And give me Seattle split first period money line and first goal first period as well tonight, catching LA off this long road trip in the Eastern time zone. I think it's a great situational look here for Seattle. First goal first period money line, full game money line split between the 3 for me, and the draw, because we have seen some draw history between these two teams, and LA in particular. They've been draw machines here. Incredibly, 6 of the last 9 games have gone past regulation for the Kings entering tonight. Perla, what do you think here? Seattle, LA?
Yeah, I wonder if that Panarin news is going to put a little lift in LA's shoes here, though, a little bit.
Maybe when he gets there, but obviously he won't be there tonight.
Yeah, I just mean like the idea that the organization is backing you in a big trade like that could be, or it could just be
belief in you, and they're trying to make the team better. That part of it's true. It gives you a mental boost.
Yeah, trying to make Sure. But that being said, I'm still not trusting LA. So Seattle, I like that Seattle first period play. They were horrible on back-to-backs, but I think they've won their last 2, haven't they? On the back-to-back. So I'm taking draw and dog. Draw first period. I like one thing I do like. It's weird. I do like the Kraken possibly to win this, but I don't think there's going to be much scoring early. And I don't think this is going to be an over game. I think it's going to be a little closer. So I got no goals first 5 and under 6.5. I like playing those at minus 105. One guy I'm looking at here is actually it's going to be a bargain bin. I'll save it for later. Oh, Lindgren over 1.5 block shots. He's going 8 of the last 10. He's going way over. Minus 105 is worth the shot.
All right. Yeah, so there it is from Jonathan. I 3-2 they are. Their last 5 games on the second night of back-to-back, Seattle. And so since and that drought, it was like an 0-16, 0-17 type of drought for the Seattle Kraken on the second night of a back-to-back. And they snapped that winless streak on a back-to-back against LA, December 23rd, right before the Christmas break. And they won in LA 3-2. So like I said, that's why I think Seattle's absolutely at this price in this spot worth a shot. And I like the early looks too. Jump on LA early, coming off that road trip, the first goal, first period. It fits that system play too, which is the 5, 6, 7 game length road trips coming home. We like the first goal, first period for the opponent a lot of times in that situation. All right, there you have it. Good stuff. As far as props, not too many for me in that Seattle-LA game, although I will say Byfield has now scored in back-to-back for the LA Kings. For Seattle, I mean, McCann's obviously been rolling. Eberle, Beniers, that line's been pretty good. You could look at it any of those 3 directions, and like I said, that line's been much better of late here for the Seattle Kraken. All right, great stuff. Shout out to everyone in the chat. 600 live viewers. We appreciate it very much. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Make sure you check out wizardsportspicks.com. Daily premium picks. Get on board for a longer-term subscription as well. 3-day, 7-day, 30-day, and 1-year all sports subscriptions available. Wizardsportspicks.com. Number 1 in the NFL and NHL for me on the website. Profitable NBA season as well. So make sure you check it out. It's been great. And it's not just me. A lot of great handicappers on the website. Make sure you get on board and check it out at wizardsportspicks.com. And, of course, check out patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 per month. Again, very important to point this out. Don't pause your subscriptions on Patreon during the break. We're still going to have some bonus content for you. We'll be recording, I think, at least 1 or 2 Player Suite interview shows during the break. We're obviously going to also be posting still a betting card outside of the NHL during the break on a daily basis. Olympic hockey bets, NBA, college basketball. I'll throw in some of those bets daily on the Patreon page to make up for and maybe a substitute for no NHL for the next few weeks. So make sure you stay on board at patreon.com/iceguys. Again, goalie charts, totals charts, our daily betting card, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. So make sure you get on board. $10 per month. Your membership goes a long way to supporting the show and keeping it going long term. $10 per month. Patreon.com/iceguys. And of course, the Ice Guys store. Get your gear and your merch over at iceguys.myspreadshop.com. All right, bargain bin special of the night, where we had 2 bargain bin specials last night. Josh Doan, courtesy of Matt Robinson, and mine with Bobby McMahon for the Toronto Maple Leafs. We'll see if we can add to it tonight in the bargain bin special of the night. That and best bets coming up right after we hear from our great Ice Guy sponsors.
Wizard Sports Picks, featuring the finest handicappers in the universe. Sharp insights, trusted picks, and relentless results. We strive to help you become consistent winners. This is Wizard Sports Picks.
Please for yourself with unknown fears.
Royal Cannabis, where the kings and queens shop.
Thanks to all our sponsors, including Royal Cannabis. Check them out, royalcannabisshop.com. 20% off with promo code IceGuys. All right, bargain bin special of the night. 2 more added to the total last night as far as bargain bin special winners. We'll see if we can add to it on this big Wednesday night slate. Perla, we'll start with you. Bargain bin special of the night.
Yeah, before I forget, Rico and Perlo's house of exotic Jaime's NHL picks for like 9:30 Eastern every night that there's games, unless there's a betcast, although we snuck out and did one last night. But usually we don't do that. But we do. It's getting to the Olympics. I was getting itchy. I wanted to do it. So catch us on there. You got JD, of course. He comes on now on a regular basis, and exotic wagers as well. Go check him out on Twitter. It's at Exotic Wagers Dre. Fantastic, tons of fun. We enjoy it immensely. We have a lot of laughs. Keep the kids somewhere, though. I'll tell you that right now. Well, unless you don't care. But I got 3 bargain bins today, if that's okay. I'm going to go. You mentioned Kapanen in there. I like the cut of his jib just recently, and I like his speed against Calgary tonight. I think he can get him behind that defense no problem, especially Anderson gone and stuff like that. I like him tonight. I'm going to take him at plus 450. And in Montreal, I'm going to take an Alberta boy from Fort Saskatchewan, Alberta, going out west there against Winnipeg. There's always a big rivalry against Winnipeg and Edmonton, and I think he's going to be up for it. Also, I like the style of play he's going to have to play against Winnipeg. Kirby Dach, they're going to need guys like that up there, getting in front of the net and grinding it out in this game, I think. So I like Kirby Dach at plus 370. And I mentioned him over shots, and I am going to go with Sam Rinzel at plus 900 to score a goal against Columbus Blue Jackets. I love the way he's playing right now to stay in that lineup. He's getting a lot of opportunities, and I think he might pop one tonight.
All right, there you go. I like a lot of those bargain bin looks. All right, Alex B. Smith in the chat mentioning his, going with the guy I went with last night, Isaac Lundestrom for Columbus plus 525. And I do want to point out, I'm hearing rumblings Marchenko is back tonight for Columbus, and if that's the case, he could get bumped from the top line, Lundestrom, tonight. That would be the one concern. But, hey, it's locked in. Lundestrom plus 525 for Columbus. Nick Foligno for Chicago plus 550 for Alex with his bargain bin specials. I've got 2. I'm going to Cole Perfetti. He's getting his confidence back. He's facing Montembeault. Montembeault's been giving up goals lately. I think Perfetti can make it 3 straight games with a goal for the Winnipeg Jets tonight. Plus 340. Great price for that. Cole Perfetti, Winnipeg, plus 340. And then the second bargain bin special tonight, we have to do it. I know he hasn't played in a while, but it's his debut with this team, but they're putting him right into the top line right away with Macklin, Celebrini, and Will Smith. Give me Kiefer Sherwood in his San Jose Sharks debut at plus 370 to find the back of the net tonight. So Cole Perfetti, plus 340 for Winnipeg, and Kiefer Sherwood, plus 370 for San Jose. With a bargain bin special of the night. All right, best bets here for this Wednesday. Let's start with Alex first because he posted his best bet a few minutes ago. There it is. Nashville and over 4.5 plus 130. So that's Nashville to win. A minor upset. They are a small home dog in that game. Nashville and over 4.5 parlay for Alex with Wednesday best bet. Perlo, best bet.
I'm stuck between the 2. Yeah, you're probably going to take the Minnesota one. I'm going to take the over 5.5 in that St. Louis-Dallas game for my straight bet. And for my prop bet, I'm going to take Kapanen over 1.5 shots at minus 120.
Yeah, if you guys want to yell and scream boring at me with my choice of best bet, go for it. But all it does is keep paying me every single time. Minnesota, Nashville, over 6.5, minus 115. Hey, it's best bet. We're trying to win. And to me, that still remains the best damn bet on the board right now, these Minnesota overs. So let's go with that. Wild Predators, over 6.5, minus a 115 for my best bet here for this Wednesday NHL card. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. And again, one show left before the Olympic break tomorrow. One last NHL card to break down. And we will do that tomorrow on Thursday. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms. For Perlo, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Wednesday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we'll see you tomorrow. The final show before the break, 2 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Ice Guys.